She survived an ambulance crash, relearned how to walk, relearned how to talk, came back stronger than before, and then something the size of a pinhead almost ended it all. Evelyn Helford spent years as a paramedic, saving lives, running trauma codes, lifting bodies twice her size. But when Lyme disease hit, the same medical system she dedicated her career to told her it was all in her head. This is the story of what happens when you stop waiting for permission to heal and you start finding answers on your own. Welcome to the Hydrate Studio here in San Diego. I'm super excited to have my friend Evelyn Helford here today. Not only is she a genius when it comes to so many things health-wise, she's also pretty much a badass. She's been everything from a paramedic to running her own companies to you name it, and she knows a lot about health. She actually dealt with her own Lyme disease issues that really led her to where she is today, running a regenerative clinic. And I wanted to talk about her story today, so I invited her here. So welcome, Evelyn.
Thank you for coming. I'm so excited to be here. We have so many great conversations, and I was like, always think like, oh, this could help so many people.
Absolutely, yeah.
I'm so proud of it.
So everyone gets to be like a fly on the wall listening to our conversation today.
Yes. Thank you for having me.
One thing I love is that I've been able to experience EBOO. And you offer this at your clinic, and I know it's such a buzz right now. Can you tell everyone what EBOO is really quick before we get into your story?
Sure. EBOO is extracorporeal blood oxygenation and ozonation.
That's a lot. Say that again.
Extracorporeal.
What does that mean?
That means that we're taking blood outside of your body and filtering it. So extracorporeal blood oxygenation and ozonation.
Okay.
And so it's been around since 2000 in Europe, and then it's becoming very popular in the United States. When we first started with EBOO, and when I found EBOO myself, there was only 5 machines in the United States. And now there's a couple hundred.
You went to Mexico to get your treatment.
I did. I found a German physician in Cabo to get my treatments, and she had actually built her own EBOO machine because finding one that's safe is really hard. There's EBOO machines out there, but not all of them are created equal. And so being the science nerd that I am and having a background in hyperbarics, I just wanted to make sure that I was going to have the safest machine possible. Doesn't make sense to be filtering toxins out if you're going to be putting them back in.
Yeah,
exactly.
Mm-hmm. So I love that I was able to experience this, but what made me really want to try the EBOO was your testimony. Your testimony was so powerful, how you were dealing with Lyme and how it was so devastating for your life, from being someone who's a paramedic, work like lifting heavy bodies, strong, staying up late, having this lifestyle, to being inflamed, pain. Like, you can tell us a little bit about your experience with it, but before we get into that, I just want everyone to really feel into the story about how your life was dramatically changed, and so many people listening to this episode can identify with that, because either they're experiencing something that it's like, oh, I remember that day when everything changed, or they have a family member who's dealing with something, whether it's a stroke or Lyme disease or autoimmune.
Right.
We all know somebody who's dealing with something. Mold, that's a huge topic right now. Mold and neuroinflammation from the mold, people feeling exhausted. So yours happened to be Lyme disease. Tell us a little bit about what you were going through and how it led you to EBOO and how that transformation story took place.
Well, back in my earlier life, I had been involved in an ambulance crash when I was really young, and had severe back injuries, shoulder injuries, and a TBI, and had to overcome that. And so it wasn't that I was arrogant or cocky, but I did believe that the body can heal itself. And I do believe that if I was going to come back from this as well when I did get diagnosed with, Lyme disease. I'd gotten bit by a tick on a family vacation in the Ozarks. And I can't believe how something that small, like an ambulance crash, that could bring me to your knees.
Yeah.
But a tick bite, something this small, could just ruin your life and devastate you.
Yeah.
It was like, but I'm not going to let it win. And I just remember being really angry and going, this is not going to take me out. Like, I'm going to have a better death than this. Like, I'm not going to let Lyme disease be how I go out. But then this cascade of events and being so powerless. Not only am I paramedic, but I have a background. I have a bachelor's in science and biology, and I have a master's in education. And so I've been educating and teaching first responders and paramedics and giving lectures and research and science-based protocols and evidence-based care guidelines are very important to me. So I'm like, there's got to be a way to figure out what's happening to me. Like getting the medical community to run the right diagnostics, to be able to test, to be able to help me. And then just being so misunderstood and being told, I'd go to the ER because my throat was swelling and inflamed, and I'd have hives on my chest, and they'd be like, this is anxiety. I was like, no, this is an allergic reaction to something, and I've had it all day. And because it wasn't we know now, what's that called? MCAS. It's everywhere, mast cell activation syndrome. But back when I was going through it, no one really knew what it was.
Yeah.
Now there's things called, we even know what POTS is, but back then we didn't. And so it was very, very hard for me to deal with that. And than to be determined to heal, because I made it back from something so devastating as that ambulance crash and a TBI where my speech can still get garbled when I get tired, and I had to learn how to talk again, and had a droopy face, and had issues with my lower extremities and severe back pain. I was like, I beat all that, so I can surely beat this Lyme disease. Oh no. I mean, it just took over my nervous system. It took over my whole body, my immune system. And I remember just my legs not working right. Of course, they misdiagnosed. They go down with their, they were saying I had ALS. They were scaring me with that I had ALS. And so many of my friends with Lyme disease are misdiagnosed with lupus or, even MS. And I was like, well, this isn't going to work for me. And then meanwhile, you're feeling these terrifying things happen, like it's getting harder to breathe. Like sometimes you'll get up to get out of the car and your legs just don't work. I just remember that, Tracy, the worst part was I couldn't hold my head up.
Wow.
So I actually lost my independence to drive myself places. My husband at the time had to drive me everywhere. I couldn't even sit on a couch and watch TV. I remember lying in bed and the bed sheet hurting my feet. And so when people are suffering and and they're out there in this pain, I think that's one of the, having that empathy for what they're going through.
Yeah.
I really get it.
The compassion of like, this is real.
Mm-hmm.
Because so many times I know people can be told it's in your head or we don't know what this is. And then also giving false diagnoses or misdiagnosed that make you even more concerned, wondering, is this terminal? What is this? Right? So how long were you dealing with this, and how did this progression happen for people that haven't experienced Lyme before? How did this progression happen from the moment you got bit by the tick? How did to the time where you can barely hold your head up? How long was that time frame?
It was over about 6 months.
Okay.
I had
That's pretty quick.
It was very quick, but I had a lot of external stressors. I had a job that was not going well, and I wasn't being treated very well there. And so I had a lot of, I had a lot of responsibility, and I had a lot of things going on. And so I had the stress professionally. And then I had relocated from California to Arizona to be with my husband at the time, and that was stressful. So I had like some of these other external stressors. So I think that I don't know if that played a part. A lot of people will say yes, and we know now that emotional stress can trigger Lyme disease and some of these autoimmune conditions. So I want to think that that's probably what the trigger was. And also, I had lost my nephew. He was a veteran, and he had committed suicide after a few tours in Iraq. And, there was a lot of emotional trauma there too I was dealing with. And so I was just kind of all cascaded at once on me. And I feel that my body just, was just triggered. And then it was just this cascade from the MCAS to the POTS. Well, little did we know I had struggled with thyroid issues and had some nodules. And when I started the Lyme disease, I kept a lot of this that was going on was thyroid related because I would be hypothyroid, then I'd be hyper, then I'd be hypo. And when the doctors were, so I had Bartonella, which is a co-infection of Lyme disease that makes you, it's cat's catch fever. It engorges your lymph nodes pretty extremely. They were palpating it and they found that I had stage 2 thyroid cancer.
Wow.
So that was happening to me as well. So when I got bit by the tick and I didn't get a bullseye rash. I just had a nasty ulcer type sore that wouldn't heal correctly. And it was this doctor in the small town in Arizona where I was living. I'd been to some other allergy specialists and infectious disease doctors, and no one could figure out what was going on with me. And she was the one that said, "But do you remember that tick bite you had a few months ago?"
Wow.
She goes, "I'm not convinced." She's, "Well, we're going to do an MRI of your brain. We're going to look for lesions. We're going to do all of this. We're going to get everything going. But I think that this could be Lyme disease." And she was determined to keep running Western blots on me, which most doctors do one Western blot and they give up. It's kind of like you do one COVID swab and you give up. But if you keep going on different days, you're going to have different levels of antibodies. And so after like the third or fourth Western blot, I think it was, I came back positive.
Okay.
And so that's how we finally got the diagnosis. And then she was like, "Okay, now you're out of my realm." The good news is this probably is not ALS. And your MRI is positive for some lesions and things like that. So we want to be careful. But, this is probably Lyme disease. And I went, "Probably Lyme disease. Well, then who's going to help me?" She's like, "I don't know."
Oh.
So then it's like, once you have that Lyme diagnosis, I couldn't believe, because I had cancer to compare this to.
Yeah.
I can't believe how differently I was treated. It was all in my head. Lyme doesn't exist in a chronic form. If you take doxycycline at the initial infection, you'll be okay. But there is no chronic Lyme disease. So this is all in your head. And it was not all in my head, and I was determined to heal. And I went to a great Lyme clinic at the time that was doing the best that they knew how to do. I had a port put in, and I was given high dose IV antibiotics and some real cutting edge treatments. And I was in the right place at this Lyme clinic because they also treated cancer. And so when I got my cancer diagnosis, a lot of the treatments I was doing for the Lyme helped the cancer. And then, of course, I went back and forth between the Mayo Clinic and this clinic to help me heal. And then when I was done healing, from their protocols and everything, I just couldn't get back to being myself. Just couldn't get there. And we're like, "Well, how do they get rid of Lyme disease in Europe?" That's an easy question. It's from Germany.
Yeah.
It was brought over here from Germany. So how come no one in Germany has Lyme disease and stuff? And so we started researching.
That's a really good question.
Right? So we're like, we know that they do, but like then we got back then, this was in like 2015, 2016, we got into chat groups. Some are like, "Oh, they do this ozone apheresis and they do heat shock and they do fecal transplants." Well, we couldn't for the life of us get our insurance companies or our doctors to give us clinical fecal transplants, and the fact of going underground for one was just disgusting to me.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't know, like there are
to take a poop pill.
there's poop donors out there. You can find them.
Gosh, yeah.
But I wanted to do it the real way, and so Prague is where my friend and I were gonna go, and and then she found a German physician in Cabo and at STEMaid, and that's one of the greatest places in the world, and she changed our lives. And after we were in remission after 3 months.
So tell us what you did.
So we did rounds of EBOO, and we did pluripotent stem cells together, because I can get into the pathophysiology and the science behind it, but these treatment modalities that we were using did have some of the traditional Lyme protocol values, like high dose vitamin C. They had chelation. They had things like that as well. But the main big hammers was the EBOO. So, and the pluripotent stem cells. And so Lyme disease damages so much of the body, and it just like eats you away from the inside out. It's just, and you can feel each organ system going down. And there's people out there listening to this that know what I'm talking about. You'll be like, "Okay, now wake up today, and now I've got kidney issues. I've got bladder issues." Yesterday was scary when it was getting hard to breathe, because my musculoskeletal system was suffering so much, and my neurological system was suffering so much. And it was just really scary. And I just really felt like, okay, I'm going to die. So,
Wow.
and I'm broke because these treatments, cost so much money, and I'd used home equity to pay for my treatments. And I was like, I've got this much money left, so if this doesn't work, I don't know what's going to work. And stem cells were not where they are now. Like, I remember going, am I going to have a third ear? Like, what's going to happen to me? Am I going to grow something?
Yeah.
Like it just was a different time. It was kind of scary. It was really scary. And so getting the stem cell treatments with the ozone is like this magical combination, because the EBOO is filtering your blood of the cytokines and inflammatory byproducts of having the Lyme disease. And it's also filtering the biofilms and things that the Lyme bacteria hides in, and many other things. And then you get and then when you're done with that, it's the ozone's going into the body, and the ozone is oxygen rich. It converts really quickly when you're doing EBOO. When it hits the bloodstream, it converts to H2O2, and it gets used up by the cells really quickly. And so when you become oxygen rich, all these anaerobic bacterias and all these anaerobic viruses and things like that start to die. And so you're doing two things: you're filtering and you're killing. And then the most amazing thing too is that the ozone is a very potent anti-inflammatory, immune system modulator, and it's just this massive thing. It's just this 1-2 power pack that kind of takes care of everything. It also works on the mold and the parasites and everything else. And then what happens is then you have to hit the restorative phase, and that's where the stem cells come in. And they start to repair. And because you've just charged your own natural NAD and your body's been filtered and you've removed all these toxins, it's like the stem cells come into this amazing, pristine environment, and they get to work. Wow. And they get to work like really quickly, which is so different. Like I feel sorry for people that are doing stem cells without EBOO. I really do. Because I've had it. I've done both. I did maintenance stem cells without EBOO, and I just remember the difference. And we can supplement with NAD IVs and things like that. But there's something, we can go into the physiology of that again, because there is science behind that. But as a patient, I want to talk about that perspective, not from a practitioner that owns a regenerative medicine clinic, but rather as a patient, you can feel the difference in your body. And it is, you just feel the healing happening. It's surreal. It's an amazing gift, Tracy. Like the science that's out there today, like that we can use these treatments is just mind blowing.
We all know that an essential piece of staying hydrated is electrolytes. Electrolytes, what are those? Those are basically minerals in a liquid solution. And not all electrolytes are made the same. We want one that has all the building blocks for life so that we can build healthy new cells. And the way we do that is having all of our minerals and trace elements balanced and complete. And that's why I love Quinton minerals. Not only do you get all 78 trace elements that your body needs, but Quinton is cold processed and harvested during the plankton bloom on the ocean's floor, where there's so much bioenergetic information that pertains to life. And they capture that information in this double tip ampule. So all you do is open the ampule, put it in your favorite drink, in your water, or you can even put it under your tongue. Yeah, so you went from thinking you're going to die, you had a life, your whole body, you have really no control of many aspects of your body. And then you go down to stem aid in Cabo. How many EBOO treatments did you get? How far apart were they?
I did 4. I did 4 weeks of EBOO treatments. You do 1 EBOO a week, and you get stem cells several days a week there. So you get IV infusion, you get of pluripotent stem cells, and that combo together. And then you get a little stem cell facial too, which is nice to have that done, because I had a lot of facial paralysis. And so I had extra stem cell facials because Dr. Hanley was really nice trying to get my facial paralysis to correct and things like that, especially my the cranial nerves were very affected for me. So I had a lot of vision issues. My face was lopsided. I had swallowing issues. It was getting hard to swallow at that point, and hard to breathe when I went there. And so just very, and I'd done a lot of treatment before. I'm not saying the other clinic didn't help me. They got me to a certain point. Then I just needed that one extra point. And what we find with a lot of Lyme protocols is they do a really good job of killing.
Mhm.
and getting and killing the bacteria, but then your detox pathways are trashed, all of them, not just your detox pathway number 2, which is what we tend to focus on a lot. There's other detox pathways, and they've been so overloaded that they don't work. And so you can kill these things, but if a patient isn't able to detox them out, they're even going to feel worse. And it just lives in the body, gets in the tissues, and it loves fascia. And I believe it really travels in the lymphatic system too.
Yeah.
And we see that with our patients and the bile system, because you're going to go blood, lymphatic, bile, right? So down at there, that was also where we learned the importance of detoxing into the protocol too, because Dr. Hanley was very big on that. So we
Yeah.
were doing body work and we were doing things like that. So it was real important to me, but for all of that to come together and to work. And so we just said, oh my gosh, everyone needs to know about this. Like we have to come back and tell people. And it was a very hard journey, you know.
Yeah, how did you do that? How did you bring EBOO to be more prominent in the US?
You know, I have to credit my friend Angie Villadesio and Stratus EBOO, because she didn't give up. She was a warrior. She just fought and fought and was like, no. She's an RN that had a detox studio, and we went through our Lyme treatment together. And, you know, I used to call us Lyme sisters, but you can't anymore, because we're like, you don't want to own that you had the Lyme. You gotta let that go. So anyway, but I was just in awe of her, determined to bring this treatment to everybody. And she just didn't give up. And when she couldn't get a safe EBOO machine in the United States, she just said, I'm going to make my own. And I just sat back. I was still working as an EMS coordinator for a fire department. And I was just like, I'm happy in my career, blah, 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 and all this stuff. And I just watched her charge this battle, try to get ILADs to listen, try to get the Lyme community to actually listen. And you know, then COVID happened. And COVID was a game changer for EBOO and for the treatment stuff, you know. And I actually remember my doctor at the Mayo Clinic saying, you know, Evelyn, if there's one thing the pandemic's going to do, it's going to be tick-borne illnesses. It's going to cause people that have had all these chronic illnesses that have gone under you have fibromyalgia, you have chronic fatigue syndrome, you have all these things, you know, they're actually going to have to be forced to address them. And we went underground and treated people with COVID, and just, of course, like a patient in a clinical setting having ECMO, when you flood the body, you know, with oxygen, we were reversing COVID, and we came out with an amazing, but we couldn't say that. They were like, we were being censored left and right. You know, we couldn't put anything on our websites. We had to be really quiet. We started to do spike protein detoxes and really help people. And then that's when I just said, okay, if I don't do that, I turned 50. And I just said, if I don't do this now, I'm never going to do it. This treatment can help so many people. And I just want to do that for the rest of my life. And so I just jumped. I just jumped and said, okay. And then at that point, like my friend Angie, my gosh, she had just done so much work. There were 5 EBOO machines in the United States, and we were getting better protocols, and we were working with doctors from across the world, in England and in Mexico, of course, with Dr. Hanley. And we had a lot of expert physicians coming together and creating really good treatment protocols with EBOO as the large hammer, with being able to optimize that tool and use it with IV protocols, and then just getting amazing results for our patients. And I was like, I just is what I want to do.
Yeah.
So there it goes. Because that's really smart to do when you're 50. Just like give up your retirement, you know, and all yours in savings and everything, and start and go out there. But that's how passionate I am about these treatments and how they can help people.
Yeah, I believe that one of the biggest things that drew me to you was how passionate you can feel, the passion in your story, how transformative this has been for you, and how excited you are to share it with other people, because you do have that compassion and understand that there are many people dealing with things that have taken over their body, where they're not able to perform the way they used to. And I think mold is another big one, right?
Yeah, and it's like one of those things, like I was focusing on Lyme because I had the obvious tick bite, but a lot of people end up finding out that the reverse, because we know that mold, the mycotoxin illness, parasites, and Lyme all kind of go together. We call it the trifecta. And so, like, and that's a lot of that is because of what we were talking about before, where your detox pathways just become overwhelmed. And you start where you could clear toxins when you were sleeping in a house or in your mold or walking in a building or walking by pesticides that didn't bother you. But as you accumulate them and accumulate them, it's almost like I call them my friendlies, like I'd be like, oh, and there's Roundup over there. I'd try to have a meal at a restaurant, an outdoor restaurant, and I would just all of a sudden break out in hives, turn red, and I couldn't go to a movie theater. Movie theaters are full of mold and toxins. I would start to have what's called a Herxheimer's reaction and wouldn't be able to breathe. It was like your body's it just can't handle anything. It can't handle it a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because your detox pathways are so
full.
It's so full. And I just feel it doesn't matter what the catalyst is, whether it's Lyme, whether it's heavy metals, or what, from dental work, or I was a paramedic and I was working in fire stations, and I even went to fire academies and things like that. And we know now, like, the turnout that we wore, the PFAs, are full of forever chemicals. They're causing cancer with everyone. And, I think about things like that. And it's like the environmental toxins I was exposed to during that time too. And
during your fires, you're breathing it. Well, I mean, you have the mask.
Yeah. But I was actually, like right after I never made it to actually working as a firefighter, but I had to still do all the drills and wear all the clothing and everything. Well, I went to the fire academy because I got hurt in my ambulance crash, pretty quickly. But I do think that the firefighters now are suffering from that too. And what we're seeing is that environmental toxins lead to cancer, and cancer has I don't want to break it down into the medical part of it, but it's viral in origins, and it behaves a lot with viral properties. And I know there's doctors watching this right now that could explain it better, but I'm trying to keep it how I was looking at it. For me, was that I have no doubt in my mind that the thyroid cancer and everything I had was from my dental fillings, was from heavy metal exposure, and I had a lot of mold exposure. I grew up in Southern California. I lived close to the ocean. It was like I was surrounded by mold, which my body could handle every day, all day, until it couldn't, until that tick bite. And so sometimes it's also, and then the parasites. I still to this day will not believe what came out of me during all my protocol cleanses and everything like that I was doing. I was trying to kill Lyme, but wow, we got all life stages, that's for sure. And so I would just be like, my mouth just wide open. But we call it the trifecta. And what's really neat about the protocols that we have now is that there's just Pangaea effect, where the treatments that we do with the chelation IVs, the vitamin C, and the ozone, and the filtering, is that the ozone can kill all of that. And so it's a faster recovery for people. And then we always recommend stem cells at the end of our protocols to come in and restore the tissues. I was trying to heal leaky gut, especially after having all those high dose antibiotics in between that whole year, in between treatments, everything. I was doing everything. And the candida just kept growing and growing. And I couldn't do fermented foods, and I couldn't do all the diet recommendations. I had naturopath after naturopath trying to help me. And for a lot of Lymies, like, they never get their guts back. And one of the things I just remember was, like, after 3 months, after stem cells and ozone, I was like, oh my gosh. Like, now it doesn't mean I didn't have to have therapy to eat a shrimp again, because I just thought, I'm going to have a reaction if I eat this or drink this. But all that went away.
Wow.
All that went away. And it's that whole, okay, we're going to kill, we're going to filter, and we're going to restore. And when you give the body what it needs and you optimize its opportunity, instead of the invaders in your body, instead of the pathogens, instead of the infection being the opportunistic one, you turn it around and you become that optimal being. You become hydrated. That's why hydration is so important. And you become well hydrated, and you become pH balanced, and you become oxygen rich. And just tell them their time is over. Like, they're giving up space. They can move out now.
Yeah.
Because you're in, the light is coming. And it's so important to have that mindset. But I think what I just explained is the hope that we can give patients. It's such a different way of looking at medicine. I mean, you can call it root cause. You can call it treating the terrain. We give it all these cliches now because that's what it is. The root cause is the parasites. It's the Lyme. It's the virus. Then, the terrain's been devastated, so we got to build it back up. But, or you can be poetic about it like me. But, clinically, my doctors are going to tell you we're going to get the root cause, then we're going to treat the terrain. I'm going to say we're going to optimize you. We're going to bring the light, and everything else can leave. Yeah.
Yeah, I was able to fortunately do the whole protocol through you. And we did it at Ecore, which is the regenerative medicine clinic that you opened. And it's in Encinitas, and it's about a half an hour from me. So it was perfect. And I was able to go. So my protocol was I went 3 times a week. I went one day and did NAD. The next day I would go and do whatever binder we were going to do. Or what did we use? Actually, we did Plaquex.
Yeah, so you did NAD and high dose vitamin C. And then of course the glutathione and BP a peptide now we add the BPC to help the gut all along the way. And then your second day was your chelation day. So you did your ADTA and Plaquex IVs. Plaquex is just high dose phosphatidylcholine. It's been amazing it really helps with all this mucoid type. We have the biofilms that these pathogens wrap themselves in, and the EDTA works with getting out those heavy metals, and then the Plaquex can really help with breaking up the mucoid plaques and things like that. It's really beneficial for that. So then we do that. Plus, did you know that there's studies out now done traditionally that show us that Lyme patients, these things are so opportunistic that they steal your phosphatidylcholine from your own cellular lipid bilayers.
And it'll affect your hydration.
And everything.
It's going to affect your cellular integrity.
And your cells, frequencies, the hydration.
Yeah.
That's what
your erythrocytes, everything.
Everything. Those suckers are smart. So they go after the phosphatidylcholine as well. So also when we're giving it in a protocol like that, we're helping replenish that and repair that. And it's really important for the liver and that detox pathway number 2 during the protocol as well. And then on the third day, you get EBOO. And then in between them, we like to have you have a fascia session where we're going in and we're doing really hardcore deep tissue fascia massage and getting the Lyme, getting the mycotoxins and stuff up and into the bloodstream. And then we filter. And it's an amazing formula. And then the EBOO is only 45 minutes.
Yeah.
But then we make sure to give you a remineralization IV after. And we also give you glutathione so that you have a good detox. And then when people can, we like to add in acupuncture or craniosacral, because as we filter a load of toxins and as we filter a load of cytokinins and we filter this inflammatory markers off, we're hoping that the body's going to start to calm down. And the nervous system, when the body feels safe and you start letting it know, like, hey, this stuff's gone. You can calm down now. So we like to use a lot of that's what I call as a truly integrative clinic. We do regenerative medicine, but we do integrative medicine. Someday somebody was talking about me on TikTok the other day. I love it. Talk away, saying that EBOO's not holistic. I'm like, well, no kidding. That's very clinical. You should never be having EBOO done at a med spa. Like, we're not talking about that. We have medical doctors, we have naturopathic doctors, we have nurses, we have acupuncturists, we have fascia therapists. Like, we treat the whole body. And I think that was my dream about Ecor, because when I was sick, I'd have to go find all these independent providers and try to heal myself. So what we tried to do was create a place where we could put it all under one roof. So that's what you experienced, was being able to come there and have everything in a 3-day period.
Yeah, 3 days. And I did it for 5 weeks in a row.
5 weeks in a row.
And it's a commitment, right?
Yes.
It's a commitment because it was something that I needed to slow down a little bit of my life to do that, because it takes time, but so worth it.
It's hard to get you to slow down. You're so determined to go do your workouts.
And I still did how I work out. So I should have probably not done that. My body was a little exhausted.
It's like, could you just rest, let it heal, and rest? But you'll ought to. It's funny because too, you'll have you'll ebb and flow, right? You'll have a day where you just feel terrible because with die off and things like that. Then you'll have a day where this is how I used to feel, and you want to go conquer the world.
Yeah, totally. And you meet a lot of people. When I was there in the clinic, there was other people going through the protocols. You hear their stories, you bond. And it's really fun, and your space is so beautiful, and you have very an amazing staff that's highly trained and just so educated that I learned a lot, and the experience was really, really wonderful.
Thank you.
And we just put a hydrate store
into
your Encinitas clinic, so now everything that I use and approve is in
It's
this
there too.
space.
And I am really excited about you coming in and us having the regenerative aesthetics. Like I was able to have it stem made as well. Because when you've been sick for a long time, you do all these things like you don't want, it's really, everyone's pushing towards all the fillers and the Botox and things like that. And it's like, but if to be able to do the stem cell facials, exosome facials, and we even have that new amazing PRP that's got the exosome proteins in it. And we can help women feel beautiful again, or even men after they've been sick for so long. But then I'm so excited to be doing the regenerative medicine is just
regenerative aesthetics too is so much fun, and I'm excited that we're able to partner on the regenerative aesthetics aspect because I owned the aesthetics clinic that was the integrative regenerative clinic for 17 years. And we focused on the skin and making everyone look beautiful. So when I would come in to your clinic getting the EBOO, how many of your patients were asking, what do you do for your skin?
Everyone.
And so I was like, Evelyn, we need to, this, since it's something that literally everyone was asking about. I don't think there was one person that wasn't like, what do you do for your skin? I want my skin to look good too, because so many people's bodies were depleted and they weren't just thinking about their body being healthy. They want to look good too.
Right.
So we decided that we wanted to add that piece because sure, you could do some Botox and fillers, but that's not really going to, in my opinion, make you look more alive and radiant again.
No.
We need to rejuvenate. Yeah, and we're doing that from the inside out, but also adding the stem cells, the hydration, and bringing all the oxygen-rich, like clean blood to the surface. And then doing fillers that are natural, like peptides and structured water and frequency-based things that are going to help hydrate the skin and fill your extra cellular fluid with stuff that's like looks plump and hydrating that your body recognizes. One of my favorite things to do when I prep for the gym is to get my blood moving. And the way that I do that is by reducing inflammation and adding some nitric oxide to my blood. I love HydroShot. Not only does it taste delicious, but it has hydrogen gas infused into the can, as well as natural occurring nitric oxide from watermelon rind with green tea, and it's 0 calories.
Yeah, and it's so amazing too because the skin is our largest organ. So the thing when you've been sick or you've had these issues that of course your face reflects the rest of what's happens. And it's one of those things too. And then not to say that our treatment protocol, we can get we can cause some flares, right? Acne flares, things like that. So it's just so nice to be able, that's what the inspiration was. But now I'm excited to be able to bring that to younger. I feel like if I knew then what I know now, like I never would have done, some of these things I've done to my face. Like I just can't believe that we can actually have these treatments available and how they work. It's about, like you're saying, we're going to get down to the cellular level. We're going to optimize the skin. We're going to have you look, the anti-aging industry is just huge and everyone's got an opinion, but gosh, just see the transformations. It's like remarkable.
It is. And I'm so grateful that we have this opportunity to be in this industry where we get to be at the forefront. We're working with a NASA scientist to build a laser to help with the frequency so that the special fluid that we're injecting that is all regenerative and natural is going to upgrade the tissue. And that's what we want, is to upgrade the tissue, not just fill it with things that are going to fill it up with toxins and things that are going to change the structure of your face maybe forever. I was just listening to a plastic surgeon talk about when he does facelifts, how when he goes in, there's so much scar tissue and the facial structure can be changed because of people doing fillers over and over on a regular basis, where it affects the lymph flow, it affects
the lymphatic system is so affected by that. And I don't think people realize that till they start to get uneven, until things start to happen, it's like they start to puff out, we see that. I think it's that whole detoxification path. Your skin's a major detox organ, right? You got detox through your skin, but then the lymphatic side of that's pretty bad. Yeah, what can happen? And they get puffy eyes, they get all this, what's happening, edema on their face and everything. And it's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, how many women have you seen that got under eye filler and then it's really puffy and they have to get it.
So a really interesting phenomenon I've seen is when they have the molded mycotoxins, especially like, I mean, there's a lot of entryways from mold into the body, but this is very interesting observation. And so I think it's something worth talking about is not only do they have sinus infections, but like, so the foods you eat are going to, pollute your gut with mold. We know that now that there's a lot of our foods that are heavy with mold. But then if you're in a moldy environment, of course, you're going to be breathing that through your sinuses. And so you're going to have spores and you're going to have, staph and things like that in your sinuses. So when we start to kill that, the ozone will go in there and start to break that down and actually kill that, which we want it to do. But if they've had filler, their eyes will water, things like that will happen. And they're like, wow, the number one thing I hear every woman tell me is like, I've had a sinus infection for 2 years and I haven't been able to figure it out. And then they're like, this eye is different than this eye. And so it all goes together. So when the filler, the mold, everything kind of just happened. And it's scary actually what's happening. And then their eyes are tearing up, they've had a postnasal drip, things like that. And so I think it's just, you're fine with the filler until you're not. Just like we were talking about.
Yeah.
Then when everything gets full, that's a big point happens. Then you start to get those symptoms like that.
Yeah, and it's just we learn as we go, right?
Yeah.
So if you look at 10 years ago or even 5 years ago, people were talking about fillers, the mess thing. It's like, oh my gosh. But then what's the longevity of it, right? So was it researched for 50 years so that we know what your skin looks 50 years from now? No. Right? It was the short term. Wow, this looks great short term, but no one really knew what the long term effects were. And now we're understanding that. So no shame, no anything. It's just like
I did Botox too.
we're learning.
Yeah. Even recently, I was like, oh, I just can't stand how I look or whatever. And the fact is that was the motivation was I've done all this work to be clean and to have all these toxins out of me. And now there's these other products out there, like we're researching Zealand and some of these more pure like products to use. Or can we achieve that another way with the PRP and with the exosomes and the stem cell injections?
Yeah.
So, that hasn't been allowed in the United States, but you could go to Mexico and have it done, or you can go to Turkey and have it done. I think that's one of the things that I'm real excited about too, is that we can offer these things now in the United States. 2 states, it's legal, things are growing, and it's only a matter of time, but we can do it safely. We can do it, economically feasibly. It's not like it's gonna break the bank, and you can do these things. There are options now, so you can choose better. I think is real important.
Yes.
And then the laser you're talking about that we're going to work on is just like going to be next level.
Totally next level. And I was able to experience one of the new facials we're practicing. So what's really awesome about what we're doing is I get to be the guinea pig and we get to test things and see what's going to work before we actually bring it out to the market, because we are paving a way for some new regenerative health and new regenerative beauty skincare options. And so we've been experimenting.
Yes.
And that's been really fun. And I've seen so many amazing changes and upgrades with the things we're doing. And I'm excited. I'm excited to be the beneficiary of it. So then I get to share it with the whole Hydrate community. We get to share with the Eco community and with as many people that want to have an upgrade to their skincare and a natural, healthy, regenerative longevity,
yes.
Yeah.
And men too. I think the men are gonna love what we're working on too.
100%. What I've learned about men from when I owned our clinic was that a lot of women would come in and the husbands are there and they're kind of snooping around and they're like embarrassed to ask. I think more now men are a little bolder about it. But when I started my clinic, in 2007 or 6, it was 2006, there wasn't a lot of men coming in to do that. And now so many more are, but they were always interested, right? And I want to look good too. Everyone wants to look good. Everyone wants to look fresh. Everyone wants to look alive and hydrated and youthful. And so I think that it's been something that I've always loved to experiment with. And one of the things that I noticed when we had our clinic was the biggest thing that brought life to the skin was that oxygen, that nutrition, the blood, the lymph flow, the drainage. you think about water when you're at a living spring and it's flowing and it's fresh and it's bringing in all the nutrition and letting off all of the toxic, caustic things that shouldn't be there in its whole ecosystem.
You're right.
It's got the rich oxygen and the hydrogen, and it's because it's flowing, it's moving. And if we're making our face not flow and not move, and there's stagnation, and there's things that are damming it up or, freezing it, what's that going to do? That's not bringing the life to it. So even like the facials we would do where it's like really heavy massage, a lymphatic massage, we were doing that 17 years ago,
I feel like you were really before your time.
Yeah, we had some really amazing experimental things that we were doing, and I would always look to different countries.
Yes.
We looked to Korea, we were looking to Europe, we were looking, what are they doing? Because actually estheticians have such a higher standard for their training than we do here in America. Most of the estheticians, when they would come to me fresh out of school, they didn't even know how to do an extraction. And I'm asking them, what did you learn in esthetician school? And it was really about sanitation so they could pass state board. The test that their training was mostly about how to pass state board so they could get the license.
Wow.
But they didn't know a lot about the skin or what's under the skin, the fascia system, the lymphatic system. It's like there wasn't really, I don't know if schools are more upgraded now on that, but it was disappointing.
Very much so.
So then you go get a facial and it's like, they're patting your skin or just, it feels a little good, but they just didn't really know what they were doing. So
we combine that at Ecore. That's what we're talking about right now. So because of your passion right there, Tamara Renee with her Tamara Renee medicine.
Amazing. I said
her fascia facelifts. I know they're phenomenal. So like we have that whole package where you're going to do that a day before, or a couple of days before, and then your skin's going to be hydrated. It's going to be ready. Just like when we get the body ready for the stem cells, we optimize it. We're taking that same approach with doing them on the face, and giving them to your body. And I mean, if you really want a good effect, we'll put a few in your body at the same time. You're going to get them on your face because then it's like boom, boom.
Yeah,
I know, but we're working so hard to come up with the signature facial that's going to include the fascia and the lymphatic work because that's such an important thing.
What are some things in regenerative medicine that people might not know about? Some exciting new science or something that you want to share with the community?
Gosh, just get ready. I feel like I almost feel I just can't believe we're saying this, but there's a next gen. There's like a next generation of regenerative medicine happening. A lot of it we're talking about now with and that is there's a lot of new research in optimizing your own stem cells and getting your own stem cells that we have in our body, the V cells, stimulating those. That's an exciting frontier. I can't wait to see what, I'm so excited to know people that are active in that. Oh my gosh. And then one of the things, our doctor at our clinic, Dr. Castillo, he's been in regenerative medicine for a decade now. And he was just, went to Austin to get certified. There's very few doctors certified in this yet. But it's working with their placental-derived proteins. And they're very anti-inflammatory. And one of the things that we pride ourselves in is some of the functional testing we can do to look at mitochondrial function and things like that. We do that on a lot of our patients first because we want to clear receptors out. We want to clear all the toxins out. We want to free up so that when the patient is given cells that they communicate well, they go where they're needed.
Yeah, get rid of the senescent cells and clear lymphatic.
Yeah. So that they do what they're supposed to do. It's a big investment, And so, plus we want to have really good results. So these little suckers that are out there now, they're just so amazing. And I mean, I'm excited because he's teaching me about them, but he was even blown away. He's a really good injector. So he was teaching doctors how to inject knuckles for patients with rheumatoid arthritis. And he said that almost everyone that came through, so they had a lot of volunteers there, and it was for the Rheumatoid Arthritis Association, had a reduction in their pain within a few hours. Wow. And so they're very anti-inflammatory. They improve cell communication. And what they are is the byproduct, or they're the proteins that are found in of the stem cells and of the exosomes. They're not, exosomes are small vesicles. So these are the proteins from those vesicles. And so that research is phenomenal to see how they can work even better. So that's what I call that next generation, like next gen. So frequency, I think, is going to be important. work as well, and optimizing. Hopefully people are going to get more into the optimizing of the body before they give the stem cell therapies. And then the other thing that I'm really proud of is that safe practices and having ethical standards when using these products, so people don't have to worry. People will call and ask about stem cells, and I hear some crazy things that they've heard before about where they're harvested and where they're from. So, having clean, ethical, health screened products, but the new frontier, it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, it is exciting. I'm so glad you're able to be on the show today. If anybody has any questions or they want to learn more, go to the show notes and there will be information on Evelyn's clinic, how you can connect with her, and you can always reach out to me on Instagram or send me an email at hydrate@tracydeuce.com and learn more about what we're doing at Ecore and with Regenerative Beauty and Health.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me. Thanks. I love you so much. Thank you.